I think we've came up with some really crazy abstract ideas, and that's why we are different. Why we have been on this other path is because we're why not people, and I challenge y'all to be like that, you know?
Kind of piggybacking a little bit off of where Sammy was going with that too, the getting yourself out there, and Rob saying of like being accepting. If like you've got a Nerf group with like some like social issues, take a couple steps back and like maybe look at it and ask yourself if maybe there's an issue with clickiness. When I was getting involved in LES 1,000 years ago, man, that was something that really stood out to me. It was that like I liked Ninja Squad, like I partied with them a lot.
They're family at this point.
They're definitely fam, yeah. They've all scattered. Yeah, but just like how closed that was, and like the fact that there were other like closed off groups, it was a little bit off-putting. I felt that it was a little bit hard to get involved with this community because they were so kind of closed almost.
And dude, even like the biggest problem they had was just like they were really good. No one's arguing that Ninja Squad was
totally
good.
Yeah.
But there's been a couple times of where they made some decisions that got a lot of we call them mavericks, new players, and like Sammy said, Sammy was a maverick. I was a maverick. There's nothing wrong with that, and everyone's got to start somewhere. And why not a maverick? But they would do things, and it wasn't always evil. Sometimes it wasn't evil at all. But it was for their self-preservation and that pissed a lot of people off. And so that's actually something that I thought was our cancer for a long time, and it's really easy to blame on Ninja Squad, but I think they were just the group that was doing it at that time, because I've talked with Darren and Janine about this too, like how it's really easy, like you're having a great community experience with Nerf, and then you make a bunch of really good friends and you really kind of click with people. Like me and Cameron really clicked, and it's really easy to be like, all right, well, I'm gonna hang out with Cameron all the time, and it's hard to think, oh, I'm not gonna find another Cameron.
Shit.
I got my Cameron, so I don't need to worry about it.
Oh God.
I mean, okay, so going off that stem, we just played a game last Saturday, and
Sikorsky's game.
Yeah, Sikorsky's game. It was pretty much King of the Hill with a lot more going on. It was a fun concept. It needed to be pounded out.
What was the name of it?
It's called Hidden Carver,
because
we were going to go to a park named.
Was that run by Tommy or who?
It was Tommy and Sikorsky.
It was good. I mean, I enjoyed it.
It was good. It was King of the Hill with more moving parts, which was good. Also, there was no like life system. You just spawned at different locations. It was a good game. We can go into that later. But talking about clicky, we kind of did a little bit. We did like the soccer lineup, and then like we picked teams that way. You know, like I was the team captain, and Andrew Sikorsky was a team captain. He's an up and coming LASer.
You almost either gotta have two people who have no idea what's going on, or two veterans that are on equal playing. Like when it was,
and Sikorsky, his gear's as good as us. He hasn't been playing as long, but he was a worthy adversary. All right, but I just got the cream of the crop on picks. I got John and Sammy right off the bat, and then I mean that's my core team. I can take those two dudes and I can lead them to victory with a bunch of scrubs.
That's how King of the Hill was too. The last
Chase.
one that I filmed.
Yeah, and then we got like the icing with Chase. I feel like I probably could have won against Chase if Chase would have been a major problem, and I probably would have been like, hey Sammy, your entire job for the rest of the day is counter Chase.
Chase is Choco Taco, by the way.
He's good. He's good. He's
literally me and
very
Chase
wiry.
just thrive on each other. Like we work well together. We run together. Like me and him, and actually James Legault. We actually started a new group during HVZ was a play squad, which were like everybody was starting their squads, just like
HVZ.
They're
tradition.
literally just like people that are really close. They like their tactics. Play squad basically was just like, hey, you might be new to this. We're just here to have fun, and it's like how I said, everybody's just like branching out, meeting new people.
And you're not planning to survive with play squad.
Yeah, we're just playing to have fun, like mandatory male escorts. That was a thing. Like we were just like escorting random people that didn't know what they were doing and they were afraid to die. I'm like, you know what, we're gonna help you out here. And like James, you're gonna hate me for this. The happy high five tactic.
Oh, we won't talk about that.
Yeah, that's a little
too hot for TV.
That's adult stuff.
I'm gonna piggyback off something you said in terms of like picking teams. I think that squads work okay for HVZ. I think actually it's a weakness when it gets to the point where it's cancerous, but I actually really like, as a mod, watching the HVZ drama unfold, because it's okay to be selfish in HVZ. It's okay to be a team player.
I was going to argue about that, or like bring up that point when we were talking about Ninja Squad. Like, that is such a fucking valid target. I have one time a guy like ran across the road and tagged me and this other dude. Well, he tagged the other dude like a little bit faster. It was really shitty because my cover had come off my Stryfe door, and this was back in the time of IMRs. And so I had no batteries in my
Sorry,
Stryfe.
Kenzie.
Yeah, I know. So like I had a dead blaster, and I was like shooting at this zombie who tagged this other guy first, and then tagged me. He got a double tag, which we don't allow on our campus. And the very first thing out of my mouth was, "You got him first," and I fucking sprinted. So I mean, like, throwing people under the bus is like, it's supposed to be an apocalyptic situation. Like, it's
a fine
kind
line
of
between
okay.
cancer and okay.
Yeah.
It's the fight and flight mode in your brain.
Yep.
Like, man, I love playing this game, but I love surviving sometimes too.
I want to jump in real quick.
Go ahead.
So I think squads are cool for HVZ. We're talking about multiple day team-based things are innately flawed. Like, we used to play King of the Hill, and it was multi-day, and it was pretty good the first day.
Until you break the game.
Pretty good the first day, and then it's always going to change, like, especially if there's any momentum on one side of it. And it's just like, I think it's better on one day.
I do too, yeah.
One day, because it's everyone shows up, and then I almost think that the thesis should be fun, and if it's stacked, and when you talk about picking teams, almost to the point where I think it's the vet's responsibility in a game like that to kind of put their experience second a little bit and be like, all right, yeah, I have the opportunity to pick all the Sammys, all the Chases, and we're going to stack this team. And it might be fun for half the game, but I think after the first kind of engagement,
I was picking friends.
It's all, and that's okay, and that's good. But I think it's like, for the betterment of the game, it's just spread yourself out. You know, as we do public speaking, me and my buddy Dan and David, like, we go into a room and having lunch with a bunch of students and organizers. It's really easy for us just to be like, oh, I'm tired, we're just going to all sit together. It's we disperse ourselves amongst all the people, and we kind of make friends and stuff. And I feel like it's almost like a mod, like you're kind of, as a vet, you're a mod and a player, because if you stuck around this long, you must give a shit about it, you know. And I think you know what makes a good game, and I think unfair teams in terms of, like, you see the writing on the wall, it's going to go bad.
Yeah.
I don't think that makes a good experience for anybody, you know? How do you feel about that?
How do you feel about that? So, funny thing, again, about this. Yeah, our team was totally stacked. The last King of the Hill was too.
I mean, I felt like it was some sort of last hurrah for you. Like,
yeah, I picked my friends because I wanted to nerf with my buddies. But yeah, no, like, the moderators actually stepped in, so, like, applause to
respond to me calling out vets and saying it's your responsibility.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I just want to hear what you
I
think.
agree, especially for, like, for like non-HVZ events for sure, and like HVZ as well. But like non-HVZ events don't like feel like they matter as much. Like, you might win or lose in the end, you know. But like, you get to play with your toys even if you get shot down. HVZ is a little different. I feel like recruiting should still be everybody's, like,
probably go to.
Yeah, like their
number one
their
priority.
Focus, yeah, their priority.
Giving
like,
it to other people.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, you are going to have more fun with your game if you convince more people to play with you, and if that means that you have to play zombie this time, like, dude, give that new girl give her a tag. You know, don't argue with it.
New people getting tags is the best thing in life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Dude, that's actually one of my favorite experiences. Like, I go balls deep, I go really hard, and when I get tagged, everyone's excited because, I mean, I'm alright at Nerf, which doesn't mean anything. Like, you're alright at Nerf if you're having fun. That's as good as you need to be. But zombies are happy when they get me because I'm a fierce competitor. And then I remember, dude, I remember fighting my ass off, and then Kevin coming around and tagging the shit out of me, and then him just sheer elation, just like, oh, Rob!
Dude.
And I joined the horde, man. And that's how it should be. You should... I love HVZ Death, and it's just...
I remember a memory where you were filming. It was the... Actually, no, you were modding. It was the Wild Wild West. And we were doing a submission, and I guess... I can't remember, like... I was holding up on the 6, on the back end, just making sure there's nobody coming up on us. And I was with Bo Camp and all of them. They were all doing the the submission because that's what they could, because most of them were working in the evening, so they couldn't make it. And so I was up on the 6, and they didn't tell me that they were running off. And so I was by myself, and I saw a new guy. He was coming running at me, and I didn't react fast enough. And the pure excitement he had on his face when he tagged me, I'm like, yeah, it was shitty that I got tagged. I'm like, you know what? It was well worth it seeing his face just to get that sheer excitement. Like, I got a core player. I got somebody who's really good. And like, this is like my 4th or 5th HVZ, so I kind of had an idea what was going on. And you're like, you know what? This means more to him than it does to me. I'm happy I could make his HVZ a little bit better.
That's cool, man.
It's a good feeling.
And then you're just like, oh, sorry, we got 3rd, but it was epic.
I know I've tagged quite a few people, not like anywhere like a Chad level or like a Victoria from OSU.
I think I've had 3 tags my entire zombie career.
I could probably look on on Source and see how many exactly, but the one I remember right now like is Janine. Actually, because Janine was she was a Maverick. She literally had a Maverick, a yellow Maverick, and was walking around, and she brand new, didn't know anybody, just the nicest person you've ever met. And this is in 2004.
Now she's LAS mom.
Exactly. And I was wearing my my hiking boots that day. I ended up getting shin splints and just ow. But I come around the corner like McDonald Arena where we start, and she sees me like a deer in headlights, and then just gonna run. And I just start sprinting in my boots at her, and I get her right before she gets in the door. And we called it, like at that point, the phrase was called consensual chase. In terms of like, it's really scary, and like you almost want to ask people, hey, you okay? It's okay. Yeah, it's consensual. It's consensual chase. And
hi, Chase.
I think it's just really, I think it's why it's so memorable is because she was just a random kind of, I think she was the person that Dugan's like, hey, you should play this. Dugan, man, we miss you, Dugan. You were the reason why we had that 500 person game, because he existed amongst people and just made it not a big deal, and he just recruited the shit out of people. And I think he started Janine, and now she's the president, and she loves this shit. And to take it back to what we're talking about with the clicking is, I actually talked to Darren and Janine about that. It's really easy as mods like you get your good friends, and then you're like, oh, we're having this great experience, and it's really easy to get sucked into that. Living your life in your college experience, and as a mod and as a like a game runner, like
game master.
If you find yourself like gravitating towards your core group and not reaching out, it's natural. You got to fight that though. You got to like.
It's kind of like a little safety harness for you to grab onto.
Yeah, and it's little things such like just like when you all go out to eat, or even just remembering to invite the new people. You know, like
absolutely, yeah.
Like one of the newest people that's been part of our group is Shelby.
We love Shelby.
Shelby Dow. Is it Dowler?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm sorry if I mispronunciate. People do.
7 foot tall,
giant. He makes me feel like Gimli.
Someone said his name should be High Ground because he's that tall.
Hightower from Police Academy.
We'd already called him Shalabi, and so he already had a nickname.
Shalabi's been there for us when we started doing construction on the space dungeon, when we were making weird mods.
Dudes, so
he's good people.
Down.
He's happy people.
He's a why not people.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
All right, so now Sammy, you get to pick where we go.
Real talk with Sammy.
Really? Yeah. Yes, this is real talk with Sammy.
All right, where do you want to go?
Like touching up on like how you were going with arms race, like with everything, like back with like the super stripes and everything. Like I feel like it is a necessary evil that's going on in the Nerf world. Like back, like when you say you're circular springers, and that's great. Like I absolutely love the shit out of springers too. But like nowadays, when HVZs and like new Nerf groups are like evolving, like you literally have to like.
It's a standard now.
Yeah, you have to overcome and adapt.
I got my motors from Australia.
Exactly. MTV with their Hellcats. Like, yeah, it's just like you have to step up your A game with like everything. Like if you're not
game design.
If like you're not too privy with the modding, like that's where I said like branch out with people in your group who like are more technologically sound. Like I didn't know jack shit how to do modded like motorized blasters, and then I got a hold of RJ. He helped me make two super stripes, one for me and one for Chase. Actually, I think we did like 4 because he was modding 2, and one of them was a demolisher.
Was that over at my house when we were doing the marathon?
Oh my god, yeah, that was during that day. And
in the course of about
like
4 hours,
he modded
we modded 8 or 9 stripes. It was an assembly line. It was great.
Oh, they're so awful before you take that first lockout. Like, that's the only mod of stripes that I'm okay with, is just taking that one magazine lockout.
Yeah.
Where
just all the locks.
Yeah, it's all, like, I had one and I was like, it got me killed tons of times, and then I used Cameron's and I was ripping into people, and I got it. And really, I think I'm very skewed in terms of the flywheel blasters, because I got the Hailfire and I was really excited about it. And then I hate batteries. I hate batteries for a lot of things. I hate handhelds in terms of video games, because I don't like having to rely on that. I like just kind of, it's gonna work. And
that's where we're gonna hook up a yacht battery to one of your blasters.
So I don't trust batteries, and there's something special about Springers.
Yeah, Springers is just that good nostalgia
That
feeling.
pop.
Like, you feel good when you get that super modded Night Finder, like with Chad and his boomerang.
Those are dying, man.
Yep.
Like the snipers, that's a different game. I really like Cameron and Shannon's style. Even Ashley, like they play with recons or retaliators. And I think there's something really, and I think this is why I'm so I see so many darts getting launched out there for HVZ on these charges, and there's something really great about having a ton of people coming at you.
Fires 6 times, wins HVZ.
Yeah, and there's something really great about acquiring targets and really prioritizing. And when you got 35, like you're spraying your.
I dumped so much ammo.
It's just, I've seen, I've watched both of you just so much Nerf footage, and you're just like bam, 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 and you're killing 10 people, and it's no big deal, and you're making up for the people who can't do that. Yep. But it forces more of just the vets are really where it's at,
and it's like a crutch basically.
Mm-hmm. It's the haves and the have-nots almost. Like, I really like the idea of the sock monkeys, like we call them hunters. The idea that enemies that can only be killed with socks.
Yep.
And the reason I like that is because it gives new. It does, well, that too, but it gives new players a very easy way to be helpful and to be valued. And I think that's where the ninja squads get yelled at, because they're obviously good, and new people, they can't be good because they don't know what they're doing, and they immediately turn into Rambo after 2 games. But when you make new players be useful and be tactically, that's when you get the merging of the vets and the new people going in, where I just like stuff like that.
The internal cog of which is life of Nerf here.
I got another real talk, but let's finish up on this.
The Strife life.
Yep.
Yeah, but Springers are great too. I mean, I absolutely love them. I just got done modding a Roto Fury with making it a backloader. It was awesome. It had me that sweet nostalgia feeling when I was just first getting into the mod game. Or oh god, Harley is bringing his first recon, and I never modded a blaster, and he asked me, "Oh, you think you can make this spicy?" I'm like, "Sure, I don't know what I'm doing, but I can figure it out." 3 screws in.
Dude, to give you an idea how far this shit's come, I looked up online how to mod my Night Finder in college, and it was they used to stretch springs, and I stretched a Night Finder spring. It was blue, so there was plenty of ass behind it, and it was cool. And I just put a CPVC barrel, and I filed and stuff. That was cool. But dude, that was in the time when people were modding their Mavericks by putting pennies behind the spring for more compression. A penny Maverick, that was a thing. It still kind of is, you know.
I've got a fun story. All right, so when I was in high school, my best friend, I call him my brother now. His name's Caleb Howerton. He's got a farm north of town.
I know him.
Yeah.
No, I really don't know him.
Okay, well, he's got a farm and he sells to a lot of people. But he had Nerf guns. I never had Nerf guns until college. Not because weird parents or anything, but because poor. I didn't have toys as a kid. And so we'd go over to his house and we'd play Nerf, and it was cool. And that was really my only pre-college Nerf experience. And then he got super excited about us playing these games and stuff, and he was like, "Let's modify and blah blah blah." And I was like, "Whoa, dude, I think you're taking it a little far." And then now I'm just let me show you all my mod shit. I think that's just a fun little story. I need to bring that up to him sometime.
You just step back and look back on moments of your life and man, I don't know if I'm gonna go into this. And then 3 years down the line, oh my god, look at all my modded shit.
For a while there, Rob was like, "All right, hey, does anybody have anything unmodded for this one thing?" And I was like, "I did." At that time, I literally didn't have a single unmodded blaster. All my shit had been messed with. That first Rampage that I bought, that I talked about, I got through a game with it. Not the game that I died, but I got through a game with it, and then Like, I modded it to being broken.
That is one blaster I've actually never had was a Rampage. I had a Raider.
Do you want my broken one?
They're
I'm
excellent.
good. I had a Raider, but
They're
then
gamey.
I traded it to my old former roommate Levi Starkey because he had a PAS and I needed another one.
Yep.
And I traded it for that, and he wanted the Retaliator. I'm like, yep, fair trade.
Really, once it hit that point, because before that it was very much kind of haves and have-nots, but we were shooting streamlined darts that only really went like 40 feet, and there's some Steffens in there. So the haves and have-nots was like, you could get a night find that would go far, but it wasn't enough to really break the game. You know, Cameron would be able to tag you a little bit further away. So the mods were like, your shit sucked. If you, even like a Raider unmodded, you're shooting 20 feet, 25 feet.
Awful.
Your engagements are closer, and it's kind of fun. But even just like using Drax Mod Guide and adding like a little bit more power to it, like it changed the game, and you had to mod at that point. And for me, I think this is when the Elites came out and the Rampage came out and the EAT and the Hammer Shots. I had been spending so much time modifying Big Bad Bows and putting all this time into modding and feeling like I had to, because kind of like so people could understand the playing modded Nerf, because I feel like that's different than just like out of the box when you're a kid. I hit that point when everyone else was hitting the strike point. I'm like, I don't even really want to mod stuff for more power, because I'm just like, I like what Elites can do. I feel like we don't have to do this anymore, and it's better for new players to just be able to grab something and play with shit out of the box.
I feel like a good comparison from like what Nerf used to be to what it is now, it's kind of like how cell phones are now. Like, we used to have the Nokia brick where everybody would love it. It's just a standard indestructible thing that will withstand the dawn of time. But now that we have the fucking iPhone 6S and everything now, everybody's just like going apeshit for it, and just they need to get it. And that's kind of how the Strifes are nowadays. Like, there was like a point in time where Strifes were coming hard, they're actually now being hard to come by nowadays. Like,
I don't see it ending, man. I really see it just like
everything is a Strife trail, though.
That's all we're doing. We're heading in that direction, and it's really, I think the barrier of entry is getting higher and higher, and I'm just like, I'm less excited about Nerf as I see it kind of going towards that.
Man, I kind of disagree a little. I think that like the newest line of Nerf blasters off the shelf can compete with me.
Now, once I think, all right, can we incorporate Rival into that? Because I feel like that was the answer to that.
The Artemis kids and the Apollo kids were wrecking my ass during King of the Hill, dude.
Oh, yeah.
They can reach out and touch you with those balls. You don't really need to do anything to them.
I loved it how like Nerf is actually like starting to like incorporate older folks and Nerf.
Serious.
They won't acknowledge the HVZ community because, well, it's to their benefit to have the zombie thing. They quietly, like, they don't want to say Nerf blasters are for adults. They're selling them to kids, and it's easier for them that way.
Mommy, I want an Apollo! No, this is going for me. It's for big boys.
I think that's when the game changed a little bit. Like, they're like, oh, okay, well, these are for 14-year-olds, and that's as good as it's ever going to get. It's in the same reason why Thunderdome documentary, it's about, like, mental illness and toys. And those two will never be marketing successful on the mass market, because Nerf can't embrace that. It's just, even though it's something that's very correlated, and we've seen it through our groups, it's just, you can't, the Nerf for adults, it's a weird thing. And really, they're selling more Nerf blasters to kids for Christmas. There's millions and millions of kids getting this stuff, and you've got the HVZ community. I keep seeing how small the NIC actually is. I used to think there was millions upon millions of people. Like, we've got a community of probably like 20,000 people at the most, and that includes casuals. And so the people who are watching videos, man, I've been making a lot of videos. It's not really like, it's not the NIC that makes videos get big. It's Drax 12-year-olds. Like, if you're watching this and you're 11 years old, like, you're kind of in charge of YouTube at this point in terms of Nerf, because like that's where these million views videos are coming. Like, and so I'm making weird kind of like documentary and just artsy kind of things, and it doesn't matter how good that is. It's never, I don't know if 11-year-olds like that. You know what I mean?
In 6 years, your audience will be there.
they might, but I think we're getting away from film in general. I mean, that's a whole different conversation. I want to talk more about Rival. But yeah, like, so let's talk first about, can we do it at the same time? I think we can.
I think we can.
Let's talk
multitask.
about Vortex. and Rival, because Vortex was, you had streamlines and you had people modifying the shit out of Nightfinders and really increasing that, the energy in there and almost making it dangerous. And so Nerf's answer of, okay, people want to play a little bit longer range Nerf, but we can't add all this energy, so more distance without more hurt kids. And their answer to that was Vortex, because it's, you know, it spins around and you get the frisbee thing to it.
I actually never got into Vortex, like, when I first got into Nerf. Like, I didn't know they existed until I started watching your videos, and I saw that you absolutely love the Ravonics. Like, that was the first time I actually saw, this is a thing?
When I got interested into Vortex, they were already on the way out.
Yep.
They were popular for, like, what, 3 years, maybe? 2 years?
They were never really popular.
Well, I mean, like, they were, like, a standard for, like, maybe 2 years.
Here's the thing.
They were expensive.
They were weird. To the point where I bought, the ones that I bought brand new were the Proton, the Vigilon, and the Praxis, and then I skipped the Nitron because it was expensive and I don't like batteries. And I loved them. Like, I loved shooting around my house, and my biggest thing with Vortex is the ammo is just indestructible.
Kitty friendly.
And it's fun.
Exactly.
It's just a fun, dorky ammo.
If there's a TD 3.0, it's going to be entirely Vortex, I think. CQB and bouncing off walls and counting like those shots, and I think... dude, there's something really just satisfying about shooting the disc, and because you can lead people, and then, or you can be the guy who has a peer gun and you just dump 40 darts and you just say, man, I'm not going to get a lot of people out, but Sammy's dying right now. Because you can't dodge 30 darts or 30 discs.
Very carefully.
A thing to kind of talk about with the Vortex and the Rival is I don't think Rival's going anywhere. I think that unlike...
You don't think it's going anywhere in good, or you don't think it's going to disappear?
I don't think it's going to die. Yep. I think it's...
Hashtag nailed it.
Continuously, like, come out with different blasters.
Yeah, and they got it right. Like, it, their sales are good. Like, the ammo is great.
At first, I was skeptical about the ball life. Like, I was
interested in the first two blasters.
Let's just go down the line. Oh, we have, when we started out, it was the Apollo and it was the Zeus. Was that it? Zeus. And so you got one flywheel, one Springer.
Yeah.
And then we had the...
No, let's talk about them. Like, so that comes out, and we're all kind of excited, and they're like, oh, it shoots 100 miles an hour, 70 miles per hour, and you get one, and what was your thoughts on it? Like,
when it first came out, I was like, I need to get an Apollo just to see how this... It was actually during...
Ratchety as fuck.
It was during the, your first Troll and Tony big event, and like I was running with Paige, Chad, and Chase.
The Apollo team.
And we were Team Apollo. And
we're back. So we were talking about Rival and Vortex and how that changed things. Or you were talking about your experience, like we were talking about the first. No, we were
first experience with Rival.
And then Rival, it was Apollo, and I wanted to hear about your thoughts on those, and then how it progressed. Because in the beginning, like, I think Rival has been defined by the blasters that have come out, and how it kind of keeps evolving, and then really at first, like, dude, the fucking Hurricane or whatever, just the out of darts thing with, I've seen stuff like that.
The Proton Pack,
yeah.
Yeah, like,
those are cool.
when the Apollo first came out, I was like, yeah, this is awesome. And then the Zeus came out, like, oh god, how are they gonna mod this and make it spicier?
I thought they came out at the exact same time, actually.
Yeah, I think they did too.
Oh, did they? Okay.
The Apollo actually got kind of like tossed to the wayside because, you know, all the Strifers were just like, oh, I want the flywheels. Of course I want the flywheels.
No interest in the Zeus at all because of the stupid way that you had to load the mags.
Oh, dude, that was awful.
Yeah, I had no interest in it. It's just not something that you can do under pressure, or at least I can't.
But then when the like out of darts first came up with, or I don't know if it was him that first came up with the
he refined it for sure.
Yeah.
The Proton Pack, and then like RJ was just like, oh my god, I need this. I need.
He never finished this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what it comes down to is it's just like there's a thing called reball with paintball, and it's Rival is not a new concept. It's basically it's the same answer to Nerf's question of how do we shoot farther without making it more dangerous. Yep. And the first time I ever fired a Rival round, I was really skeptical about it. And I fired that Apollo. I think I dry fired it the first time. And I'm like, holy crap!
It's got a lot of ass behind it.
Like when Ryan and Justin, I sent them an Apollo down for as thanks for helping out with Thunderdome, and they're just like they'd never fired a Rival before, especially like the Apollo. There's just like almost like an Ultimator level kick with it, and they were like, "This is modded. This has to be modded." And then everyone responded was like, "Nah, dude, that's exactly how we felt."
Bone dry.
But then it sounds scary as shit, and I'm like, "Oh man, I don't even want to shoot this at anyone." And you get hit with the first, and we're talking let's just isolate it to just Nerf brand ammo, because I think once you get into the other thing, those are a little bit harder or whatever.
Yeah.
But just getting hit with a Nerf high impact yellow ball,
You feel it,
but
it doesn't. Yeah,
it's like the sound is scarier than the sound, because like the vortex round accomplished more distance by the spinning and like the frisbee.
no lift.
Yeah, they really nailed the design on the balls. Like I don't know if it's the dimples or whatever.
Yeah,
but
they make an airfoil.
Dude, it flattens out as soon as it hits, and it just spreads that out. Where, dude, like even like FVJs, like hard tip darts and stuff. Like you're getting into that territory where even like those rubber tips on regular elites, when it gets cold, shit start to sting, man.
Absolutely,
You know?
even have stock blasters sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, even with like the rules for different campuses for different ammo types, like I try to stay away from FVJs now for my mod blaster, because I know people are gonna complain about it. Like last HVZ, people kind of complained about it. I'm like, I'm sorry guys, I'm not putting FVJs in it.
Yeah.
And I think that's to your best interest too, because like kind of like with Nico, like he makes awesome stuff, and if you hit that point of like your shit's too good, and it's hurting people, like you don't get to be awesome anymore. You have to tone it down. So you kind of got to play that line of, all right, what are people going to tolerate? And I think that's why I like those FPS limits. Mm-hmm. I don't want to crony shit. It's not my thing. But having that kind of like, all right, this is the acceptable. But then again, all FPS isn't created equal depending on the ammo type. You know.
Mm-hmm. FPS is a lot better metric than... Okay, so before our metric in LAS was 100-foot flat shot, okay? Which is funny, because I've got some air blasters that can't do 100-foot flat, but they have so much FPS behind it, it'll, like, break skin, okay? So it's a stupid metric.
Yeah.
This FPS limit is in the right direction, but really, it's not the best metric either. Like, the best metric would obviously be, like, pounds per square inch or something like that. But that...
How do you do
exactly.
that?
I mean, we have equipment that we could do it with, but nobody fucking does it that way. FPS is still just kind of a little bit not generic.
It's relative. It's
so
it's not a
squishy.
Universal, because what we're talking about,
Subjective.
like, speed doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What we're talking about is hurt. Quantifying hurt and quantifying the acceptable level.
Yeah, and the high impact rounds do it so well, because like they do 112 FPS sometimes stock, but they're such a big round and they're squishy as all get out. Like it's hard to hurt somebody with a high impact round.
Yeah, have you guys? I know you've used a flatliner barrel with paintball.
Oh yeah,
because you have one.
Yeah, my Tippmann A5 has a flatline barrel.
I had a Tippmann 98 with a flatline barrel, and if you're not familiar with that, you've got your normal paintball barrels that just kind of shoot straight out, and it drops off, and it's very consistent.
Doesn't it like put like a little bit of backspin on?
It does. It puts some English on there, and so when it goes out of there, if you look at the flatline barrel, it's curved kind of like a banana. And what happens there, and it's very contingent upon, you need to put good paint through there, because it's a little bit harder on the shells. But once you break one paintball in that flatline barrel, it starts just chopping them. But in its perfect situation, it does exactly what the Nerf rival ammo does. It shoots it out, and then it kind of has backspin on it. It doesn't shoot up, but it enables it to kind of almost go flat for longer.
It travels a lot longer.
English, which is a pool term, by the way.
You're welcome. Yeah, I used to play 9-ball with Dan. And so what we're talking about, like, you get the Nerf rival rounds are phenomenal. They're great, and we're not complaining about those at all. The first ones that came out were the cornucopias, as far as I think. No one's been worried about the Proton Pack and HVZ, and I'm sure it's been banned somewhere, because most of the time people who set out to make them that aren't Luke, Out of Darts, Guy, Face, they don't finish them. And then even if they do finish them, they don't have the money to just be dumping rounds. And so even when people had hailfires with all these drums and everything, most people are limited by the amount of money that they can throw at it. And during HVZ, especially like when you have like non-safe times where there's no dart recovery time for humans, you don't have enough money to do that crap every day. And so the people who are running high lows, like heavies get empty.
Aftermarket darts.
Heavies get empty real quick. And I'm wondering the impact that it's going to have on there. But I don't know. Have you guys seen what Out of Darts is doing for you? I know he's coming to NVZ. He's probably just going to use a Hurricane, or just got something new.
He's going to Inward? Or?
Oh, yeah, Inward. Because
didn't he have something with the FDL V2 as well?
I don't know. I saw him. He posted something on Instagram that was like showing all the balls and stuff. So I think he's definitely running Rival.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But I don't know. Have you heard anything about N-War in terms of like, is anything banned other than I know
HPA is? And
what are they defining as HPA though?
Anything
pretty much anything that use compressed air is kind of on the chopping block, which irritated John, who will be joining us shortly.
Yeah.
Oh, he's coming?
Yeah, he's coming.
Because we had you have see, that's the line of like I was always confused. I'm confused about compressed air.
They
CO2.
also have a
Okay.
limit to FPS there.
I think it's 115.
No, it's 130.
Oh, that's pretty high. Ours is 150, but
Yes,
that's
their
stupid, too.
limit is 130. I checked it because I had Sam come over with his crony.
Yeah. Did you film it? You should have filmed it.
No, but Rob actually took a picture of it.
Yeah.
But they're also banning FVJs.
Which is normal and acceptable.
I think there's a couple other darts that they were banning, like
Bowberry, I think.
little Valentines too. Maybe?
Yeah, which I disagree with.
They're not. Horrible.
They're great, dude. They are literally elite clones. They don't even have the plastic peg the Bowberries
I think
have.
they were
They're
saying
great.
something about Kush too.
Kush should be fine. I almost.
I mean, I don't quote me, but I. Think
I haven't
they
been
said
looking
something
at it
about
because I'm not
Kush.
going,
All
unfortunately.
right, let's go. Let's get back to Rival.
Okay, yeah.
So you got Rival. I'm kind of just so the point that I was kind of on was like, so we're talking about how much STRYFES has really changed stuff, and Rival, like, talk about how much it's changed because I like the Apollo, but I got an Apollo as soon as it dropped on the shelf, as soon as I found one, and the first generation Apollo is like, I have a Can We Break It? The problem I had, and everyone who was early on Apollos, is they didn't have that release switch behind there, and they were just like, once you got a high, like the balls jammed up in there, it was locked. So people didn't really use them in the first HVZ because of that.
Oh yeah, they did.
Yeah.
They did, but they tossed it in the wayside pretty quick because they, dude, I can't remember if I was filming or modding, but.
My experience with Rival is that it's pretty cool that they can compete with my super modded shit, which also irritates me a little bit, but in a good way.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It's an arms race.
It's Street Fighter where you're always like relative to the guy who presses a bunch of buttons.
Exactly. Yeah. There is a little bit of a jamming issue with Sam just broke his chair.
Okay.
With the Apollo and with the Artemis, which is out and very popular right now. It shoots like an Apollo. It's kind of slam fiery, and it's got
a Robonics. It's a Rival Robonics.
Yeah, and it's got a high cap, so it's great. You want this chair? Yeah, we'll do it in a second. But the Artemis also jams. For the most part, a lot of the jams seem to be user error because the high impact rounds are just so good.
Yeah.
When you start getting into aftermarket rounds, it gets a little fudgy. I wish Jay was here. He would be able to tell us more about it. Most of this information is coming from him. But
you talking about Jay Joyce, or you talking about Jenner?
Yep, Joyce. He's just a friend in the community. But his major thing, his like big eureka moment was you can load the Artemis like to where the orange pusher is all the way back. Don't do that and it won't ever jam.
Yeah.
So if you can avoid jams with the Rival Springers, you're gonna
go far.
Yeah, you're gonna do freaking great.
The problem with the cornucopia is what I was talking about with the backspin. Yeah. We've played in Thunderdome with it, and me and Thunderdome Nova Scotia Jack were fighting back and forth across the towers, and I was shooting those cornucopias across Thunderdome, and they weren't getting there.
Yeah.
And when I was shooting real Rival balls, they were. It's just like it doesn't have that pizzazz. But the headshot ones are alright. You know.
Headshots are great. Yep.
Yeah.
Headshot ammo for life.
I think like you can only get those things so cheap though. I mean, like if we get to the point where they're really, I don't see Hurricanes or every Hurricane I've seen in a game has broken down mid-game. Like Sutton's, it's no fault of theirs. It's just there's a lot of moving parts on that, and a lot of things can go wrong. And when you're running, like
I think that the Nemesis is kind of rendered the Hurricanes completely obsolete. Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's still selling them though, man. He's still making kits and stuff. Like,
yeah, the Nemesis isn't out yet. Like it might be out.
I think it's out in Canada.
Here, I'm gonna need you guys a little closer.
A little closer.
Well, just a little closer together, so I don't have to keep going back and forth.
Yeah, I'm super stoked for the Nemesis. I don't actually own a Rival Blaster yet, but I'm
really even one.
Not one, and I'm going to pick up the Nemesis when it drops. I understand that it's $100. Bomb won't get that.
Really, I think
gonna mod it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Slop 4S into it.
Wait, they make 4Ss?
They're not very good for most of our applications.
How big of lipos do they make?
Man, they're lipos, so they'll make. We're getting a little bit off subject. But,
I want 10S.
Okay, so
they
what we're
exist.
talking about with the Nemesis, Hurricane was basically a Zeus that he found a way to just put a lot of ammo in a Zeus and basically skip the mag altogether and have like PVC awesomeness.
With like a bunch of couplers and then like a little like what is it, like a air mattress fan that pushes it down the hopper?
Oh, I don't know. I think I heard it called a squirrel cage or something cage. It doesn't matter.
Cage.
But the problem I see with going in that direction, it was cool because, you know, not really any people murdered with it, and they couldn't really afford thousands of rounds, so it was fine. His proton pack's awesome, that's cool. But even him, like, he probably fired every rival round that he had in the house. So the problem with the Nemesis is we're getting that point where that's fucking paintball, bros. It's
I'm into it.
I'm into it because I want to see what it does. I think it's going to be a good response to Strifes, and even if people with Nemesi, if they're not if they're not loading their stuff with 100 balls, I think just the mechanism in which the quick top off, just throwing everything in there and letting it go down, for that alone, I don't think we're really going to be worried about the guy that's got 100 rival balls. I think it's going to be like a working Artemis that doesn't have to worry about any kind of mags at all.
I'm a little stressed about how it's going to affect HVZ. I think that it's still going to have the cost prohibitive factor, but
Here, switch me to your Sammy.
at some point it's like the Strife life kind of threw everything HVZ related.
Are you sick of it yet?
No, I love it. Like I said, I'm here for the arms race. It's kind of what I'm about. I also like going out there and slaying some zombies.
What if you, like, in 5 years from now, do you think they're still going to be doing this Strife shit, even if Nerf is like, hey, we're not releasing any more Strifes?
I dropped like $100.
Can you scooch over here? I just, like, I'm having a hell of a time with getting an angle because I almost got to be out the porch. Yeah. And then, Darren, you scooch.
If I scooch, flop.
There we go. There you go. I just needed kind of that angle on it.
Yeah, no, I like the Strife life.
Like, I feel like the Strife life, it's
that's good. This looks good.
Like, predominantly is going to turn into the Raven. Like, basically, like, after the next couple of years.
Sought after.
It's just going to be a relic that people are going to just, like, fight over and pay ass amount of money for. Like,
I don't think so. I think it's going to be worse than that. I think, as seen with the secondary market of just, like, when there's been issues with Elite Alpha Troopers and just, like, I've heard kind of whisperings in Shitty Nerfers Welcome and stuff of, like, the whole shortage of EATs was caused by, like, a thing with Target or something, that it was, like, almost like an artificial thing where they were selling them for, like, $5. But so let's just talk about the a gun that's awesome that everyone likes that no one gets that's currently available. We're not talking about an Ultimate or a crossbow.
I'm talking about a Raven.
We're talking about, well, Ravens. No one cared about Ravens. Like, they were kind of a thing. So EATs is the perfect example. EATs is the perfect example. Like, everyone wanted one, you couldn't find one, and so even like this is a new blaster, they were selling for $90 because they just weren't available.
I didn't really have a desire to get an EAT.
They're awesome. I like it.
Yeah, I'd already moved on to Strife life. Like, when I got my EAT, I worked really hard to get that EAT from Rob too. I got it in a Trolling Tony mission, and then like these new orange ones that are coming out, they're pretty weak, dude. Oh,
so here's my point. Let me finish the point. Is EATs came out and they were like, I bought mine for 20 something bucks at Target, and it was cool. I got one of the original ones, and then they weren't available, and then we were like, oh shit, we'll never have EATs ever again. And then Nerf releases it with less mags and a whole bunch of bullshit like the Spectre clips and 6 mags, and like the first Alpha Trooper had an 18 round drum and it was awesome, and then they got down to like the CS12, and they just like, they're giving you less shit and they're selling it for $45. Compare that to long shots, how they were like, long shots are shit when they're stock, but they have that like that Singapore kind of zing to it where they got that direct plunger system, and then so long shots are selling for $35-40, and then sure enough, Nerf released it again in the Zombie Strike line, but it was for more money. Like, but they scraped all the shit out there. They didn't put the front on. They didn't put the like the tripod stuff. So Nerf is finally paying attention. They know when you know what it really sucks. Say I made a movie and like people won't buy it for me for $20. But then like when I run out of them, people were buying them for $60, and Nerf is like, man, I wish we could get that $60. That's what they're trying to do, and so I think what's going to happen here is they're paying attention to this Strife shit, and they're releasing things that are kind of like Strifes, but you also have to remember, the NIC is not driving sales of Nerf as much as we think it is. Yeah, there's the demand for the 10,000 people, 5,000 people, however many people play HVZ, but it's kids' birthdays, and they don't give a shit about Strifes. So maybe they will get rare, but I think once it gets to that weird kind of niche thing where they sell for $40, they're going to release another one, and it'll be like pink or some shit. So that sucks.
I'm into it. I want a pink one.
Oh, I just hate stripes. They're just so boring. It's been done, man. Like, it's an arms race that has been won already.
Every blaster that's like electric that's come out in the past few years is a strike reshell, or a rapid strike reshell, or except for the hyperfire. The hyperfire.
That was cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's got a whole new like propulsion mech, and it's really cool. It's
What
still flywheels.
What about that new one that just came out with the select fire? What was that one called?
Oh yeah.
I don't even know anything about that. What are you talking about?
It's there's a 3-round burst, the kind of thing.
Yeah, there's one that's select fire. You can go singles.
Is it on the modulus line?
It's a modulus.
Yeah.
It's expensive though, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be like
broke right
I think
now.
like $65-$70. So like, I mean, it's cool. I mean, but you could also do that yourself with like modding stuff as well. I mean, I think
or just trigger discipline.
Yeah,
that too.
Yeah.
I think MTB did that. They did a segment on when they were making their super strives. They made like one that was select fire.
I have a hard time single firing my my hyper fire because it doesn't have motor braking on it.
That's how their actual original Zeus was, and like exactly what you're saying. Like, you don't really need select fire.
Well,
But
the Zeus was single fire or something out of it.
Yeah, but when he turned it up and put all that stuff through there, he made a full auto Zeus, and other people did it too. All you have to do is tap the trigger, and then it was 2-3 balls. And so like this idea that you need a 3-round burst mechanism that's gonna you're adding $35-$40 onto it just so you can say you got a 3-round burst. I don't think it applies to the HVZ community very much. I think it's neat. I don't think it has anything. It's just I don't think it's gonna sell
I think
well.
that there are other games where it would like work out pretty well. Like people on the West Coast. I've been kind of investigating what's going on over there. I want to get into this thing called Afterworlds, where like select fire and what you're shooting and all. It's a little bit of a LARP, and it's very Fallout-y, and that's how they want to play Nerf out there, and I'm kind of on board for it. But like the select fire could very well come in handy there.
You know where I think it is? I'm gonna play devil's advocate. It's Call of Duty, man. I think it's that 3-round burst. It's the FAMAS. It's that. What was the other one? Like
the M16.
M16. Yeah, every game's got a 3-round burst. A Type 95.
I like to check them.
I think
4-round
that's.
burst one.
Let's talk about that. How much do you like? Let's talk about video games influencing Nerf, because it's when I first started playing Nerf, I was playing a ton of Halo, and it was real life Halo.
Oh yeah,